My boy is back. Oh God, it's been too long. Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome to another movie review. I know I'm doing a new movie review. Look at that. It's been a little while, but I am here to do one for my boy John Rambo, John J. Rambo. He's back in Rambo: Last Blood, which is a perfect title. If you're gonna make a final movie in the Rambo series, that is the perfect title. So good, Rambo: Last Blood. To be honest, I wish it was just called Last Blood, but you gotta put Rambo in the title so people know. Just in case you don't know, the first movie's not called Rambo; it's called First Blood. Second one's called Rambo: First Blood Part 2. Just watch the chronologically confused video from AVGN. That I really highly recommend that one if you never watch it because it's really funny. But I love Rambo. I really do. I just watched First Blood again. It's been a little while since I watched it, so I rewatched it right before seeing this movie, which is something that I feel is really, it's like essential to just to compare where the series has gone from First Blood to Last Blood, because it is like not even apples and oranges. It's like comparing apples to a grenade. Like it's like you look at them, you're like, one's not, you can't even eat this. You can't even eat. You can't eat a grenade. You can't do it. If you can eat a grenade, tell me in the comments. I want to see it. Just don't make sure you don't pull the pin. But like, it's just it's not even like the same series. This movie is something I was looking forward to, and I was worried about it because we got a trailer for it like 2.5 months before it came out, and there wasn't too much marketing leading up to it, and usually that means the movie's not great. They just like kind of throwing it out there, and early reviews were pretty bad, but I was like, you know what, early reviews and just reviews in general were bad for the last movie, and I really enjoyed that movie. It was violent, over the top violent, which is what everybody said about this one, so I was like, that's good with me. I don't care. I like the last one. But of course, the effect of the original movie is not there anymore. The whole PTSD aspect is barely there. The whole character study aspect is not there. And the action that isn't just over glorified violence is not there anymore. Now it's just over glorified violence, which is fine with me. Again, I'll watch Stallone cut a dude's head off any day. Any day. So this movie is a quick 80-minute sit. It is from point A to point B, a revenge movie a la Taken. We follow Rambo 11 years after the events of the last movie, Rambo. The last one was called Rambo. Should have been called Rambo 4, but it wasn't. It was called Rambo. But let's call it the fourth one. So it's been 11 years since the last one, the fourth one. And he's been living on his deceased father's farm. And since then, he's acquired some sort of like a surrogate family in a way. You have a niece who is not actually his niece, but he has a niece named, I think, Gabrielle. Is it Gabrielle? Who he's come to have a kind of like a father-daughter relationship with. Really, not even like a uncle-niece relationship, more like a father-daughter one. And she wants to go to Mexico to meet her father. She hasn't seen since she was a kid, and she wants to know why he left. And of course, Rambo's like, hey, you should do that. Mexico's evil place. He doesn't say that, which that would have caused a lot of problems if he said that. But he said, no, you shouldn't do it. He was an asshole, And everybody's telling her that, and she doesn't listen. And she goes to Mexico, meets her father, and then quickly gets abducted by sex traffickers. And Rambo gotta go and Liam Neeson that shit and save her. And the first 30 minutes of the movie is relatively pretty good. It's an 80-minute movie, okay? So it's quick. So they have to get through the first act so they can get to the violence, okay? So the first 30 minutes is building a relationship and whatever. You see them together. And for the most part, Stallone is great. I love Stallone. I'll watch him do anything. And Stallone is good in this movie. He's solid. And his relationship between him and Gabrielle, or that was her name, right? Gabrielle, is good. It is a good relationship, and I'm actually surprised to see it actually work a little bit. You don't get too much of it, but it works for the movie it is. It's a cheesy film, so like expect a Rambo sequel. Don't expect First Blood here. So it works for what it is. The first 30 minutes is building that relationship and stuff, and also showing what Rambo's been doing for the last 11 years, which is pretty much just build a cave. So you can use that at the end of the movie to kill a bunch of people. But he's made pretty much cave systems underneath underneath his father's house. He explains like oh no, a character explains like why did he do this, and a character explains, hey, he just likes to dig. All right, that's good enough for me. Rambo is all about that guerrilla warfare, so it makes sense to me. But yeah, so he makes all these caves and whatever. So you get a sense of what he's been doing for the last 11 years and what he's gonna do later, because they spell out for you like he's still underneath his tunnels making weapons and stuff and sharpening blades and stuff. So you know where it's gonna go. I mean, it's Rambo. Everybody knows where it's gonna go. Even if you don't know what Rambo is, you look at this poster with him holding the bow and arrow. He's gonna fuck some people up, and that's pretty much what happens. It's a build up to the last 20 minutes where it becomes probably the most violent movie I've seen all year. People have said it is a horror movie, a slasher towards the end of this film, and I wouldn't even say towards the end. There are scenes before the end of the film that are grotesque. There's one part where, I'm not even kidding, Rambo, like, I don't even think he stabs the guy. I think he just puts his thumb through his shoulder, like it through here, and pulls out his collarbone, I believe, and tortures him by tugging at it and saying like, "You're gonna tell me what I want to know, I'm gonna pull off your collarbone." And that's just one scene. There's another scene that is very similar to a scene from a great film called You Were Never Really Here, with Joaquin Phoenix, where he goes into a place, a sex trafficking, like, place you go to have sex, I guess. And he just goes in with a hammer and just starts fucking destroying everybody to go and save somebody. And it's gruesome. He goes around just knocking everybody out with a hammer, which hammers might be one of the worst weapons ever when it comes to like killing people, because a knife I could take almost, it's just a slice and stuff, and in a movie it's like a slice, you see some blood and that's it, and maybe you see a cut and that's bad, don't get me wrong, but a hammer is just so fucking blunt. It's this little thing that you can just jam into someone's skull. It's gruesome in my opinion. It's fucking horrible. But yeah, he just runs through this place like he's like the guy from the Raid, and he's just murdering dudes, and that's like in about 50 minutes into the movie, I would say, and that shit was gruesome. I loved it. The hammer scene was great. It was good. And by the way, all the action, I will say, like, everybody's complaining about the movie itself being very, I don't know, just bad in general. I thought the editing for the action was pretty good, and I thought the editing in general was fine. It wasn't great or anything, but it was fine. It looked good, for the most part. So the directing itself was mediocre. Most of this movie is mediocre in my opinion, but the editing is fine. And the action, I could tell what was going on, and that's the best I can ask for at this point with action movies. I could tell what was going on. There's nothing too snappy about it, but you can tell, like, oh, that guy just got hit with a hammer. That guy just fucking exploded. Oh, okay, he just shot that dude with phosphorus. All right, I can tell what's going on. So again, because I compared it to Taken, and Taken 3 has some of the worst editing ever. I just want to say that. This is way better than Taken 3. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, this movie's more offensive. Yeah, Taken 3 offended me. You know why? Because it sucked. You know what I mean? Anyway, so back to it. So it's all leading to that last 20 minutes where he just pretty much Home Alone's his cave system that he made, where everybody's talking about it's like Home Alone with Rambo, and it kind of is, but it really is just like what Rambo would do. First Blood, he did this. First Blood, he booby-trapped an entire forest while the cops were coming after him. So it's not something that is new to the Rambo series, really, but because especially since it's only the last 15 minutes, it's not the whole movie. Even though the trailer makes it seem like it's going to be like the whole, like, maybe like it's going to be like the second and third acts of the film. It really is like part of the third act. So yeah, it's not a big part of the movie. They're marketing like it is a big part of the movie, but it's not. Sadly, I wish it was longer. But last 15-20 minutes, that's where you get all like majority of the violence. And holy shit, there are things in this movie he does that I'm just like I Jigsaw is pissed. Like, he cuts a dude's face. Like, you see this in the Red Band trailer, if you watch my reaction for it. He cuts a dude's face here and here, all the way through, and you just see, like, this 3 pieces of his face just, like, there, and with these 2 giant fucking slits. And it's fucking gruesome. And that's one thing I'll say, though. The gore effects are really well done. He cuts people's legs off, he cuts people's heads off, he shoots people's fucking heads off. And the gore effects are done pretty well. There's some CG, which is really unfortunate, because I'm not a big fan of the CG blood. but there are some practical effects, like the one I just explained with that was a practical effect. Some of the legs getting cut off and stuff like that was practical. Some of the blood squibs, there were blood squibs here and there, and that was well done. There is a little bit too much CG here and there, though, I will say. But all the action is well done. It's violent as a motherfucker. And it's satisfying. I mean, I got a peanut brain. I just want to see him kill the bad guys. Now, this is where we get into a problem that everybody's talking about, where the movie is seemingly racist. Now, the whole movie is about Rambo going after a bunch of Mexican. I think were they part of the cartel? I'm not sure they're part of it. I think they're just sex traffickers. That's it. A bunch of sex traffickers in Mexico, and right when he shows up, or not even him, but even the daughter, Gabrielle, not daughter, but let's consider it's like a father-daughter relationship. The girl shows up to Mexico. Immediately you see like guys in the background like looking shady and shit. You don't see anything good in Mexico. When they go to Mexico, there's nobody really likable besides like Paz Vega's character, who's barely a character in the movie, but she has some sort of relation to the plot. Not really. She's just there to help the main white guy. It's unfortunate that, yeah, you introduce a character that could be a strong female character. I mean, Rambo has had strong female characters in the past, but yeah, not this time. No, not this time. No, definitely not. She's there. She says a couple lines. She helps Rambo in some way, and that's about it. And even the help was like, all right, what did you do exactly? Oh, you just told him something. All right, all right, I guess. But yeah, there is some offensive stuff in here. It didn't offend me. Obviously, I'm a fat white dude, and that's it. You know, you can't offend me. You can say whatever, and you won't offend me. Me personally. But I would say it wasn't really offensive because the movie was so fucking stupid that it didn't really matter. And there's a lot of people saying like, oh, the movie like promotes violence and stuff, which not really, because the violence is so fucking goofy and over the top. Like, there's some practical stuff here and there, but there's just a lot of like over the top violence. You know what I mean? Explosions everywhere. Like, dude, he makes a line of explosions around his house while they're rolling up to come kill him at the end. And it's just boo, it's just explosions everywhere. He's literally like home aloneing his house, which is not something that, I mean, you got to be Rambo to even pull that off. And even like if Rambo was a real person, even he would like fuck up eventually, because there's times where I'm just like I get it, he's Rambo, okay, but there's times where he's just like, how are you not triggering a trap? Like, there should have been one moment where he like almost triggered a trap or something like that, and almost got himself killed, but there wasn't even that. He was perfect, you know. So the action is so over the top, and the whole story is really silly because it's very simple but very like obvious and dumb where it leads. There's just moments in this film that are really fun and just really violent and just pleased the little tiny peanut in my head. I enjoyed all the violence, I'm sorry, and the action. But yes, the Mexican characters, besides the three female Mexican characters, Gabrielle, the I couldn't tell if she was like supposed to be like the maid or something like that, or like Gabrielle's granddaughter. I'm not even sure, but there's another character in there that's like a kind of like a not like a love interest or whatever for Rambo, but like a friend to Rambo. She lives in the Rambo's dad's house. And Paz Vega's character. They're all genuine character, and even Gabrielle, she's heading off to college. She's like has a promising career, so like in the future and stuff. So not all Mexican characters in the movie are treated like assholes and fucking like sex traffickers, but it's just the movie itself is short, it's stupid, that it doesn't really focus on any other characters in Mexico that are decent people. Like, if there was just one character in Mexico that showed up and like did something decent, you know, like Paz Vega did something decent, of course, in the movie. If you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. But she didn't really do anything in the movie. If there was just like one supporting character that showed up and said like, "Hey, I don't like you're doing that to the girl," or something like that, like just like a little something, I would have been like, okay, fine. But like everybody is a dick besides the three I talked about. Everybody's a dick, and the only person in Mexico that we see that is not a dick is Paz Vega. That's it. Paz Vega actually lives in Mexico, and she's not a dick. That's literally everybody else is just fucking assholes. And like especially the two main villains. Holy shit, they are the most gruesome and fucking heinous villains ever. They are fucking terrible, and it's just like wow. They make the guy from Rambo 4 look like fucking, look like fucking what's her name, Mother Teresa. Like they're terrible in this, and they're pretty bad villains too. Just like quality wise, they're not very good villains. But they're also just fucking dicks. So you want to see them get killed. They're awful people, but yeah, it's a problem that we have right now where, you know, we have the Trump stuff. I get it. I understand that we need to see more positive depictions of Mexican culture and stuff. And immediately Rambo's like, no, I just want to kill the Mexicans. It's a problem. But the movie itself is so stupid that it's not like it's a political movie. It really isn't. Everybody's like, it's Rambo for the Trump era. It's like it's a fucking stupid movie. Them being Mexican is coincidental. They could have been anything. It doesn't matter. Rambo's gonna kill him. Like, dude, did you ever see the first movie, First Blood? He's not even going after anybody, but they're going after him. White cops are going after him. So the first movie is just him against his own people. So to say like Rambo's racist and Stallone's racist, I've seen people say Stallone's racist because he co-wrote the movie, and of course he's doing all the action in the movie. Is ridiculous. I think. I've been all over the place. I know, because I don't want to say I really like the movie, because I did enjoy it. I had a good time. The violence is there. The movie itself is a quick sit. I thought the first act worked pretty well. There are moments here and there, and the dialogue is pretty terrible. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty bad, especially later on in the movie where it's just like, you know, like, oh, I'm here for vengeance. Yeah, it's just like that shit. But it's edited well enough, and the action is fun. You can tell what's going on. There's a lot of violence, and it's fun to watch Stallone. I like Stallone, so I'm not gonna give it a great review or a great score. I'd give it, if I had to give it a score from 0 to 10, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. It's a fun movie, not great, definitely not, but it pleased this, but it's not a satisfying conclusion. That's another thing I should say. It's called Last Blood. Besides a montage at the end, which made me go, yeah, I should watch all the other movies again, because I watched First Blood again, but I haven't watched 2, 3, or 4 in a little while. At the end, they have a montage showing all the movies, including this one. And it was like, oh yeah, it actually kind of reminded me of, I know it's a weird comparison, but like Final Destination, when they wrapped up that series, like at the end of the 5th one, they had a montage of all the other ones. I was just like, yeah, I like montages of like the series in the final film. You know what I mean? I like that. It's just like a nice little like, hey, it's all done. Look all the fun adventures Rambo went on. I mean, I wouldn't consider most of them fun, but for Rambo at least, the first one was definitely not fun, especially towards the end. Holy shit! If you watch the alternate ending to Rambo First Blood, or it's just for First Blood, it's fucking, it's like, Jesus, it's horrible. Really, in a great way. It's like the alternate ending to Get Out. It's just like you feel like hollow inside. You're like, holy shit. One of the best endings ever is that alternate ending, by the way, for First Blood. I highly recommend watching it. So good. Anyway, it's just not the same character too, I should say. Like, this character is not Rambo also, I should say. It's a fun action revenge film with Stallone, but it just doesn't feel like Rambo. It really doesn't. That's another negative, I should say, is that he just doesn't feel like Rambo anymore. He feels like a guy that has a dark past that you don't know, and that's it. You know? Obviously, we know the dark past, but it feels like in this movie he's playing a different character that has a dark past that we don't know about, and then it's revealed that he knows all these skills. You know, it just doesn't feel like Rambo. It feels like if Rambo was a TV series and this was the 3rd season finale. You know, it's just like, oh no, this happened, bad things happen, go kill. It doesn't feel like a series finale. It feels like the finale of like the middle of a series. I don't know if does that make sense, because it feels like there's more to come towards the end. And the way it wraps up is very unsatisfying. I'm talking about wrap up the character, not the action. The action is satisfying, but yeah. Anyway, I know I'm all over the place in this review. This is the first one I've done in a little while, so I apologize. But yeah, just overall, First Blood 6 out of 10. I mean, First Blood. So First Blood's a 10 out of 10. Last Blood 6 out of 10. Has fun action, violence that I like. Stallone is good. The first act actually has some development that I like. But the negatives, Rambo is just not Rambo anymore. Sadly, it is problematic. Some of the characters, that's for sure. And it just doesn't. It just doesn't conclude in a way that feels like a conclusion to the franchise. Anyway, Last Blood. I enjoyed it, but I don't love it. There you go. Bye. That's a terrible review, but whatever. First one in a little while, so I gotta get back to it. Anyway, peace.